So tonight we got our official Clash in Paris main event World Heavyweight Championship match. So there was a lot of speculation whether or not what Seth Rollins was going to do when it comes to Clash in Paris, whether or not he was going to be involved in a six-man tag match, or whether or not he would be defending his title against possibly Seth Rollins and or LA Knight. Tonight we got our answer. It's going to be Seth Rollins defending his championship against CM Punk, LA Knight, and a major sneak, Jey Uso. I think there's, for the most part, I think we all know why Jey Uso is in this match, because obviously he's going to be taking the pinfall here. I would have preferred obviously somebody like a Roman, but it looks like we're going to see Roman Reigns get his one-on-one match against Bronson Reed, the Tribal Thief. Obviously tonight there was a lot of mentions by Bronson Reed as far as, the Roman Reigns. He did the OTC, ones in the air. There was a vignette in the back as far as Bronson Reed where he was essentially calling out Roman Reigns. So we kind of know going into Clash in Paris now what the direction is for Roman Reigns. And obviously as far as Seth Rollins go, I don't really see him losing that championship to either Punk and or Knight. Those are probably the better forerunners for that match, because obviously we start off the show here with CM Punk kicking off the show. He had an in-ring promo which was then interrupted by LA Knight, and they kind of went at it, both of those guys, until Heyman interrupted. And then we got our match here set for the main event. That was Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker against CM Punk and LA Knight. And there was a lot of matches here on this Raw card where the matches just ended on disqualifications, and the main event was no different, because you had to know at the end of this match was not going to end clean. Neither team here was really going to take the pinfall, and of course we got Seth Rollins coming out there stomping everybody, and then Jey Uso tried to make the save, and then he got stomped as well. And we end off the show for the better part of 2-3 weeks now with the Seth Riders standing tall, the Vision standing tall. And I'm going to say this once, because I feel like Triple H really relies on these beatdown angles consecutively, right? I remember a time when Solo, when he was running the Bloodline 2.0, I remember a time when Triple H would rely heavily on these beatdown angles, and it just felt like the same thing over and over and over again, right? It would be deja vu every single time. Now, I know the Seth Rollins faction, the Vision, I know they're just beginning to, establish their name and whatnot, but I feel like if you rely on this ending week after week after week, if you make your baby faces look like idiots and look like geeks and look like they can't even defend themselves, what is really my rationale for cheering for somebody like an LA Knight, right? Like a CM Punk, like a Jey Uso. So that's just kind of, a little nitpick there that I had as far as that goes. But something that we also have to mention as well was there was no Naomi here tonight. Naomi was going to have a match against Io Sky. Io Sky ended up having a match with Roxanne Perez, which was actually a really good match here. But going into Clash in Paris, I have to wonder whether or not even see Naomi. If that's the case, what does that mean for Stephanie Vaquer? Stephanie Vaquer had a interaction here with Io Sky in the back. Io Sky as well, she had some sort of beef now with the Kabuki Warriors, particularly with Asuka. And I don't know really if we're gonna do the Kabuki Warriors against Io and Rhea. I don't know if that's probably the direction for Clash in Paris. And we also had Sami Zayn here against Rusev. Sami Zayn has really been hammering away as far as he needs to win a World Heavyweight Championship. He needs to be in contention for a World Heavyweight title. And I really want to pose the question to you, is whether or not you're interested in a Sami Zayn World Heavyweight Championship run, or a Sami Zayn World Heavyweight Championship story, because they're obviously going to tell this story one way or another, right? It may be as soon as this year, or maybe as late as next year going into WrestleMania. But I really want to get your opinions as far as Sami Zayn challenging for the World Heavyweight Championship, because I know there's a lot of divided opinion on Sami Zayn. Tonight they were obviously Montreal, Canada, obviously his hometown, so he had a hero's reception there. But I kind of want to get your guys' opinion as far as Sami Zayn, because a lot of people there's kind of a divided opinion as far as Sami Zayn, whether or not he's actually the underdog still, whether or not people still invest in that whole underdog story with Sami Zayn. So I kind of want to know what everybody's mentality is as far as that goes. Sami Zayn here, he got attacked by Solo Sikoa, Tonga Loa, the MFTs. As if we didn't have enough of them on Friday night, we had them on Monday night as well. And I kind of have to pose the question as well whether or not the brand split is dead, because we've seen these guys go back and forth and it doesn't really even matter, right? LA Knight, he's on Raw for the most part, but you know, he's a SmackDown guy, right? He's on the SmackDown roster. Sami Zayn just beat Solo Sikoa, a Raw talent just beat Solo Sikoa, the US champion, on SmackDown. So I kind of have to pose the question whether or not the brand split is actually dead at this point. There was also a kind of a backstage vignette here with Bayley, where she really looked almost, you know, dejected as far as her entire career this year. And I really enjoyed this because, you know, going forward, who knows, she might eventually end up becoming a heel, right? Because obviously, you know, that's what they're kind of teasing at this point, right? They're teasing that everything she's done for the past year or so on and so forth, she hasn't really felt proud of herself. So I kind of have to ask the question whether or not we see the return of a Bayley heel, and whether or not she goes after somebody like a Lyra, or if she goes after potentially somebody like a Becky, because we saw Becky here tonight have a match here with Maxine Dupree, which was essentially a squash match. I mean, nothing much came out of this match, so I kind of have to, you know, ask the question as well whether or not that's the match that we see in the future, possibly Bayley against Becky. But overall, post your comments down below of what you thought of Raw here tonight, whether or not it was a thumbs up show or a thumbs down show for you. Let me know what you guys thought down below, and until next time, I will see all of you on the next one.